Somebody order Chinese food?
Your money is back there.
That hustling. It's all around us.
I didn't catch your name.
Tell us, how did you guys come together and do this project?
Well, Lorin, who plays my big brother Saren in the movie, he introduced me to Hisonni because before I met Hisonni, I was just going through the ringer, you know, trying to get it made, and Lorin saw me just kind of, you know, just wanting to shelve it for a while because I wasn't gonna just get it made with anybody, you know. And so he introduced me to Hisonni, saying that, hey, you know, this man is, you know, he can make a very little look a lot, you know, maybe you should take a meeting with Hisonni. So and then, you know, that's how I linked with Hisonni, and then the magic happened.
Well, Hisonni, tell me, what was the magic for you when Hedy came up to you and talked about her film?
She was the magic. The premise of her film was obviously interesting, but when I met her, she was just such, like I said, she was like half Don Corleone, half supermodel, and just kind of like she owned the day. And the way she spoke, the way she walked, it was all like, is this girl for real? So I needed more time to evaluate if she was like legit. And as time passed, yeah, like that's who she was. And I was like, this person I've never seen before. She's so interesting. If I make a movie about her, the whole world is going to find her as interesting as I did. So that's what I did.
Were there any challenges for the both of you? I mean, I know that Hedy, you wrote this film, and Hisonni, did you all? Was it a
Mhm.
collaboration or co-writing this film?
I brought the original draft to Hisonni, and you know, like I said, I was trying to make it on my own. So the way I wrote it was, you know, in some ways there was more characters, but there were some things I didn't really dare to write because I didn't know if I could pull it off on my own. When I met Hisonni, you know, just saw my vision, my concept, you know, read it and understood why I wanted the story a certain way. And then we began to start cutting things out, adjusting, tweaking, and he just basically amplified everything I wanted to do.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Now, for the both of you, you know, in this day and age, we have the BLM, we have Asian hate. Do you feel like this is the right time for this film to come out and just be showcased to the world?
Yeah, I think so, because I feel like part of you know, sometimes society dehumanizing a certain group is when you only tell one very small part of one small story, or just painting us all one way. I feel like cinema really, when we show stories about our grace and our mistakes, it makes us just like everybody else. We are not the other. We're just like you and me and him and everybody, you know, trying to find a way. So, and also me and Hisonni teaming up, it shows what we can accomplish in solidarity.
I agree. The optics of Hedy and I, they don't do justice to how great the collaboration really was. And they definitely don't represent the rainbow coalition of crew members and actors who all came together and grew into a family, making a no budget film in Las Vegas during the summer. So like, we've witnessed firsthand how much respect the Latin community has for the Black community has for the Asian community for the Black community. And this film is an amalgamation of all of it. So it's almost, the developments of the past 20 months have been mind-boggling for us after seeing such solidarity and such peace. And this film is perfectly timed because it's truly a story that blends the African American experience with the Asian experience from a writing standpoint. And because of that, the African American community embraces it. They see that Tera's struggle is just like ours. She is one of us. They are one of us. They go through the same thing as us. It really does bust the myth of the model minority stereotype. You know, that's what we're being fed, but in reality, this is what it's like. And I think the strength of Takeout Girl is its relatability. Everybody wants to do right by their mom. Everybody wants to do right by their family, and everybody wants upward mobility. And if you can co-sign on the events of the film and you root for Tera at all, this film is exactly what this time needs. Exactly what this time needs.
Right, definitely. I mean, I'm just looking at your shirt, same shot, different angle, and that's what you guys came together for. Correct?
Pretty much. Pretty much.
What were the challenges for both of you in regards to getting this film made, and how many days did you guys how long did it take you guys to make the film?
Go ahead, Sonny.
We shot 15 days with a crew of about 7 or 8 people, and 25 days with a crew of 3 people. That 3-person crew included Melissa del Rosario, our producer, Alberto, Triana, our cinematographer and our producer, and myself. And of course there was Hedy, but she was in front of the camera doing her job most of the time. So like it was a very, very small production. Some of the struggles for me was essentially making sure I stayed authentic. Like there were many times where I was tempted to lean into whatever came easiest for me. And that would mean that I leaned more toward my experience as a Black man rather than learning more about her experiences as an Asian American. And like I had to check my own biases. So for example, with the soundtrack, I can throw a rock and hit 5 people in my family who do music. And I could have soundtracked this with just that. But would it have been right to make an Asian American film with an all Black soundtrack? No. So I had to do the legwork, go out and use this opportunity as to spotlight talent from the Asian American community as much as possible. And it took a lot more work. It was definitely challenging, but it was way more rewarding than you know, the payoff was just tenfold in a lot of ways. And I'm really glad I did that. I'm glad I even taught myself that that's the sort of person I am.
Right.
So shout out to MC Jen and Stupid Young.
Stupid Young and Jack the Misfit.
Jack the Misfit.
Like they all came through with these $1 licensing deals that made our film sound like $1 million.
Was music a very integral part of the film? I know you were talking about that, Hisonni, and Hedy, you put your input into it also.
Yeah, you know, I listen to mostly West Coast music. So a lot of like you know, that's what I naturally lean towards. But I'm just really glad I have a great partner who is Hisonni, who took what I wanted and gave me what I wanted, but also expanded, because there are tracks that he picked for the film that I wouldn't normally pick, but I'm glad he did, because it just made the film so much more bigger than West Coast, you know, in South Central LA or East LA or Long Beach. You know, it just made it so much bigger. And I'm grateful. And this is where the beauty of teamwork, you know, happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Hedy, talk about your background and in regards to how the film or the story came into fruition.
Yeah, so I grew up in the Bay Area. My parents ran a Chinese restaurant for pretty much all my life. I moved to LA by myself. I've been here for almost a decade. And the story, how I put the story together was I just blended the 2 realities together. Lorin, who plays my big brother, Saren, he actually grew up in the Pueblos. You know, so that's where we don't talk about the gang stuff in the film that much, because that's not something we want to, you know, highlight. But there's a reason why he was wearing red, you know, in the film most of the time. And it's because that came from his real life, you know, growing up in the Pueblos on the east side of LA.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. And then Hisonni, how did you take your background into making Hedy's story come to life?
in every way. I think that's the sweetest part about making this film, is just discovering how much in common I had with someone who is so physically different than me. You know, male, female, black, Asian, tall, short, you know what I mean? Like big, skinny. Like in every way we're different, but in every way we're the same. Like her mother is obviously super duper important to her. The area in which Takeout Girl takes place is very similar to my area. It's one of those places where the American dream really doesn't exist. So like, what do you do when the opportunities that this country boasts about are not available to you? Saren's character has a monologue in the film that is essentially his experience in the Pueblos, but it's also my experience in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You know, watching all of my friends die. I mean, I am the only boy from my block to not go to jail or get shot, including my own little brother. So like when he talks about his experience needing to become the person that made people afraid of him as opposed to being afraid, that's my experience. When Tera and when the cousin talks about only making enough money to come back and do it again, that is exactly something I said at age 26 when I decided to become a full-time filmmaker and never work another job again. I'd rather suffer on my own than be stuck suffering for someone else. So there's just every aspect of this film I could relate to it, and I was writing from a very personal place. And the trick to it was just making sure that it spoke to Asians in just as personal of a way.
Right.
The wavy character, you know how she has the back brace?
Mm-hmm.
So my mom don't got a back brace, but Hissoni's mom had a back brace.
My
so
mom, my mom had to have a major back surgery, and I had to stay home from school and take care of her. And like, I had to learn how to cook, how to clean. It was not an easy experience, but a little bit of that is just, I wanted to infuse that in because the pressure of being in those situations are just unrelenting. And that's why the film, I think, it makes you suffer along with us, you know?
Right. And it's about the American dream, where how do you get past what the cousin said, it's just a day in, day out, the same thing over again, but not rising up or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, speaking about it's a Chinese restaurant, food. Okay, so during craft services, did you guys get to share all your different flavors of food, or did you have an actual craft service or whatnot? How did that work out?
We had takeout. Man, like, I was so stressed about it. For me, I'm so stressed out. I wasn't even thinking about the food. I just need to eat something so I don't like feel nauseous. And then I go straight back to like studying my scenes and, oh, you got an actors coming in town. Oh, I got to like go clean the bed for them, but I'm pretty sure I don't know. What do you think, Hisonni? Did you enjoy the food on set?
I only remember one meal, and it was Derek got us pupusas, I think is what they're called. Mm-hmm. Those were like bomb. That was the only meal of the 40 days of shooting that I remember. Yeah. And I think that was pretty much the last day. That might have been the last day of shooting. So that might have been the only meal I can enjoy too.
Hedy, was this your first time writing an actual film and collaborating with anybody?
Yeah, this is my first script ever. Like not that my script was like, I learned how to format it by watching YouTube video. And my friend Keenan, he gave me Final Draft, the software. So off Final Draft, I was, typing my screenplay, but my screenplay wasn't meant for competitions or anything. It was meant to be given to a filmmaker like Hisonni, who could read my story, read my notes too, and know what I want, or know what I'm trying to go for. So it was really meant for not to be read by like regular people, but by like a filmmaker.
Right. I see the big smile on Hisonni's face.
The way she said, "I'm writing my script. I'm right." That's not how I write my scripts, Hedy. Like, anywho, sorry.
So Hedy, while you guys were filming, knowing that Hisonni helped you put your script on paper together and all that, and get it to film. Were you ever stressed out, or there was a moment when you're like filming and go, can we cut and change the lines or whatever? Were there moments like that?
No, because Asani, like he lets the actors follow their instincts. You know what I'm saying? He lets us play in front of the camera. And if there's any notes he want to give us, he gives it to us and we take it in. But for the most part, he lets us play. So like there might be lines on the script, but I don't say them exactly like that, depending on my flow and I might add, like certain interjections and stuff. And Hisani, if it works, he loves it, He doesn't really tell us what to, say or, the script is really like a blueprint, you know.
Right. So those moments where people that are watching the film can feel that heaviness or the I guess being scared of Lalo, was that could was that something exuded in your when you were actually shooting the film, and you could feel it and being in character?
Yeah, I remember that. So I played it a little. So something I learned from Hisani is about, yes, you could do what you think you do in real life, but this is cinema. So we do have to amplify certain things for cinematically, right? So the way I played that scene was a little bit more stoic and poker face, but in order for, I guess, for the audience to pick up all the nuances, I have to amplify my performance a little bit more. So I had to be a little bit more ballsy, and me being naturally, stoic anyways, that will never leave me. So the audience will now see the stoicness, but also the gutsiness of what Tera's trying to do when she tries to make business with Lalo.
Right. That's great. Now, for the both of you, what do you want to see the public get out of this film, and what do you hope they learn from it, or they just expound into their own life?
Go
Uh,
ahead, Hedy.
that they're not alone in their struggles and their mistakes, and that, especially when we're young, we think that, oh, we gotta, chase the bag, but there's some things that you can't buy with money, and not all good money is not all money is good money, you know. So I think I hope that once they watch the movie, they kind of reevaluate some things in their life. And Esther Perel, who is like a renowned like psychotherapist, I believe, she says, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships, and how many times when we're so tired from working and paying bills that we forget to say the things we actually want to say to our parents, to your friend, to your uncle, to your, to your little brother, So I hope the audience just kind of, reevaluate some of the things in their life.
I hope the audience takes from this film that we all share stronger connections than our physical appearance would let on. I love the direction the film takes and the commentary it has on nature versus nurture, because once you watch the film, you have to question, is Tera good at what she's good at because she learned it in her environment, or is it just in her blood? But the people she encounters along the way, and the people who encounter her, they do treat each other a little as other at first. And there's one character in there that really regrets it for sure. There's a couple characters who regret it, and I hope people look at that and treat each other with a little bit more respect, because the worst thing in the world would be to treat someone as the other and find out they're just their blood. And for me, I would say another thing would be, I hope they get to reevaluate the idea of criminality. Um, this story is personal for me because I grew up in a really terrible inner city, and I watched Hillary Clinton call me and everyone in my neighborhood super predators. And then I watched all of the thugs get arrested systematically. They just disappeared, and those were the guys that used a little bit of their money to help my mom make ends meet. They helped me pay for field trips my mom couldn't afford. They helped people get gas money to go take care of things. They were an important part of the ecosystem of my neighborhood. And when you took them away, things only got worse. I think there should be some middle ground between crime and punishment. There should genuinely be rehabilitation or a reevaluation of why a person made the decisions they make.
Lastly, what are your next projects for the both of you?
For me, I just finished helping Hisonni with his short film Blunt. And also I'm developing a horror supernatural thriller with my friend Justin Graves. It's based on a Gola folklore from South Carolina.
I just finished a short film entitled Blunt, which is the story of an interracial lesbian couple who bridge the racial divide between their parents using the power of cannabis. And I plan on making a series of short films that are all the epitome of coming of age moments for members of the underrepresented communities.
Oh, that's really great to hear that, especially in this day and age where we're looking for more representation in the industry. Lastly, go ahead, each one of you, if anybody wants to follow you, shout out your social medias.
You could find me at Juliet Must Die. You could find the Takeout page on IG and Facebook, Takeout Girl Feature Film.
And you can find me at Hisonni J on Instagram.
I want you to tell me what's inside.
Please step out the car now.
What's inside the bag? I don't know!
What if I change my mind?
I'll burn the place down.